Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思吃都还难
It's just complicated. So much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu with Tony Reed in the studio. Hi, Tony.
Niuniu, what's happening? How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and thank you for asking. Sometimes I feel like when, it's Monday or the beginning of a month or the beginning of a year, you feel very encouraged, motivated, and you feel like the entire world is your stage and you can do whatever you want.
Definitely at the beginning of a year. I wouldn't say at the beginning of the week, because at the beginning of the week, I'm like, I'm tired.
Or maybe the beginning of a day. If you've got really good rest.
If, the big if there, right?
Yeah, and then...
Today not being one of those days.
Sometimes at the end of the day, when you have already accomplished a lot, of course you're happy, you're like, I've done a lot today, but you're also like, I'm tired. I have to go back home and lie down and rest. It's a tiny little bit like... your life. Sometimes when you're young, when you're a kid, or when you're in your youth, teenage times, or 20-something, you're very uplifted all the time, and you're motivated, you believe you can do anything, and later in life, you're like, I'm chilled. I've done a lot, seen much, very chilled.
Very impressionable as in your youth, of course.
All these different kind of feelings. But I have to say, for some people, even when they're kind of aged at age, as in...
When they get up in age?
Yeah, when they are in their 60s and 50s, 60s. But even when they're at that stage, they still present a certain kind of young feeling. When they look at you, when they talk to you, you still can feel their curiosity about the outside world. You feel like they still wanted to change the world by giving their own contribution, and they still believe in dreams. And in that sense, Chinese people have this word, really trendy one, 少年感.
少年感.
Yes, so 感 is like 感觉, a feeling, a sense. And 少年 is youth. So it's kind of like saying no matter your age, you can still have this 少年感. You can still...
Be young at heart.
Be young at heart. Yes, that is a really good translation.
Still connect with younger people.
Connect with younger people.
Regardless of your age.
And impress others around you, giving them this feeling that you are still really warm-hearted, very uplifting, very motivated.
Yeah, I think so.
That is a very interesting concept in my opinion, and we can talk a little about it, how to be young at heart.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 你为什么叹气呀？我刚才跑1000米，用时5分钟，我太慢了。上了年纪，就是行动不便，感觉我已经老态龙钟。胡说八道。你的速度已经很快了，而且你看起来无忧无虑，朝气蓬勃，有着十足的少年感。 谢谢，我再接再厉。This is a funny conversation.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people have this feeling of when you reach a certain age or whatever that you won't be able to have that same vigor and energy, but it's kind of cool.
And also, sometimes people are just being exaggerating and they're saying things that are not true. And for example, don't you feel like sometimes all those really skinny girls like to say, oh, I'm too fat, I need to lose some weight. It's when they don't really have that problem, they can actually complain about that problem. I feel like in the conversation, we're listening to two college kids.
Like a humble brag a little bit.
Yeah, humble brag a little bit, saying, oh, I'm too slow, but actually, I feel old. But they're not old, they're just like in their 20s.
Okay.
That's my feeling. I don't know. You can humble brag or complain about a problem that does not exist quite easy.
Well, sometimes they just want compliments. That's another angle of going about it, right? Like you said, I need to lose some weight and the person looks great. They just want you to say, you look great. You don't need to lose any weight. And she's just, has the hand over her ear and nodding her head
say more like that. Say more things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, at least the conversation we can learn something about. We can take away some Chinese from.
Yeah, 叹气 is a new one for me.
Oh yeah, let's start from there.
Well, do we need to translate that? Okay.
It's just a sound. You don't need to translate that. But in Chinese, if you want to sigh and if you want to, for example, express someone is sighing, you can say ai.
So it's a I, like that, your eyeball, right? I.
Yeah, that's the sound in Chinese.
Okay.
I think for another episode, perhaps we can talk about all these different kinds of sound.
Yeah, I think so.
And also animal sounds different in different languages as well. So they can be fun.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we should do an episode about that. But today we can start by saying, ai. That's the sigh voice.
Okay.
Ai. 你为什么叹气呀?
This is why did you sigh? So 你为什么? So you, why? 叹气 is
叹
sigh.
气, yes, precisely. So 叹 is like 感叹. So if you have a feeling and you want to express with your voice or with certain sound, you're 感叹. 感叹. And 气 is air. So 叹气 is literally you're sighing out the air. Out from your breath, out from your chest. So 叹气, that's sigh in Chinese. 叹气. 你为什么叹气呀? 我刚才跑1000米用时5分钟，我太慢了。
So it took 5 minutes for me to finish the 1 kilometer run. I was too slow. Seems like it's pretty far, but okay. 我刚才, so I just now, right?
刚才 just now, 刚才.
And then 跑, this is run.
Run.
And then 1000米.
That's the funny thing. In Chinese, of course, you can say 千米. 千米 is kilometer. 千米.
1000米.
Yes, 1000米, 1 kilometer. Or you can say 1000, 1000 meter. Because 1000 meter equals 1 kilometer. Right? So the pronunciation is the same. The ways to write it can be a little bit different from each other. But the pronunciation 1000米, 1 kilometer, precisely the same.
Okay.
So 1000米.
1000米, and then 用时.
用时.
This is the amount of time
spent. So 用 is use, and 时间 time. So the time you used would be the time spent.
Time spent, all right. 5
分钟.
5分钟. So
yes.
this is 5.
5
and
minutes.
分钟, that's a minute, right?
Yes, 5分钟, 5 minutes.
Okay, got it. And then 我太慢了, so I am too slow.
I'm too slow. 我太慢了. 我太 is very or too. 慢 slow. 我太慢了. Do you think it's really, really slow? I think it's like, nah.
Very slow. Right? Very slow is 很慢.
很慢 or
but
太慢.
太 means like it's past that limit.
Yes.
So something's wrong with this amount of slowness.
OK， 上了年纪就是行动不便，感觉我已经老态龙钟。
So this is, I'm having difficulty in moving because I'm getting up there in age.
Yes.
I'm old and clumsy. So
doesn't really
yeah,
sound right.
Sounds like, okay. So 上了年纪.
上了年纪.
This is an expression. This means like getting up there
yeah.
in age, right?
I don't think it's an expression. Well, it's kind of like an expression.
Getting up there in the years.
Getting up there in the years. And it's a really colloquial one. 上年纪, 上 we know is up, like you said, getting up there. 年纪 is your age. Okay. So precisely, I feel like I'm getting old.
Okay.
Getting old. 上了年纪.
Oh, that's a perfect translation. Getting up in age.
Perfect translation.
Okay. 就是。
就是.
就是 means
just.
Just, right. And then 行动不便.
行动不便.
So 行动 is like movement.
Movement.
And then 不便 is like inconvenient, right?
Inconvenient. So 不方便, not convenient.
不方便,
行动不便 together is kind of like a set phrase. 行动不便 means having difficulty in moving, in getting around, in doing things.
So movement is inconvenient.
行动不便, yes. It feels strange talking like this here in the studio.
Yeah.
行动不便. Okay. 感觉.
感觉 this is a feeling. Yeah.
Feeling.
我已经 so I 已经 this is already.
Already.
And then 老 this is old. 态
老态龙钟 together is a word. It's an
Okay.
expression.
老态龙钟.
老态龙钟.
So old and clumsy.
Old and clumsy. So 老态龙钟 is describing the kind of people who are, you know, old not only at age but also at appearances. You can see that they're old with wrinkles and clumsy and not very, let's say...
Seems very rude to tell somebody that they're this, what is it? 老态龙钟.
I know. That is why I think this word should only apply when this person is at least in their 80s. And not able to move quite much.
Or when they're referencing themselves, right?
Yes, that can work as well. But just remember it as 老态龙钟, the Chinese word you use to describe someone who's really, really old.
Got it.
胡说八道, 你的速度已经很快了.
That's nonsense. You were pretty fast. So 胡说八道.
Yeah, that is a word that is not very polite. Actually, for a short period of time, I think this word is considered so rude that it should not even appear on, for example, newspaper. It's kind of like saying nonsense or even, you know,
I say nonsense
BS.
all the time. Oh, BS.
Right? You know what I mean here? It's like,
Right.
yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's really nonsense. So, 胡说八道. I'm just teaching this word, saying that probably you should never use it, but still, knowing what it means kind of help in your Chinese learning.
Sure.
Still, I kind of hope you don't want to use it.
Well, these are always
on
the
any
best
occasion.
words, right? You hear that? Everyone listening out there, Honglin is teaching us a word we shouldn't use, which never happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, not a really good word.
All right. 胡说八道.
Yeah, see?
Nonsense.
Then you pronounce it perfectly.
Yes.
Anyway, 你的速度.
你的速度, so 你的 is your. 速度 is speed.
Speed, 速度.
And then 已经 is already. And then 很快 is very fast.
Very fast. So your speed is already really fast. 你已经很快了，你的速度已经很快了 precisely. 而且你看起来无忧无虑，朝气蓬勃，有着十足的少年感。
And this is, you seem like you're carefree, vigorous, and you're full of youth.
See?
So, 而且, this is means also.
Also or and plus.
Yeah, 你看起来, so you look like.
You look like.
无忧无虑.
无忧无虑.
无 无忧无虑.
Yes, that is a Chinese expression, a idiom. 无忧无虑 means carefree. So 无 we know is have not. And 忧虑 means worrisome. So you have nothing to worry about. Then you're carefree. Both the Chinese character 忧 and 虑. 忧 is like worry about something. 虑 is like thinking about something. So 无忧无虑, you have nothing to think about that worries you. 无忧无虑.
Okay, no concern.
No concerns. 朝气蓬勃.
朝气蓬勃. This looks like another expression, and
Yes.
this is vigorous. Yeah.
Vigorous. So 朝气, 朝 carries the meaning of the sun in the morning. 朝阳 would be the sun in the morning. And 气, we know it's an atmosphere, it's the air, it's the feeling. So 朝气 would be the feeling of the sun in the morning. The morning sun feeling then is the
Feeling of dawn, huh?
yeah, it's very young, it's full of possibilities.
If you can wake up that early, yes. It's very beautiful.
It's very beautiful. And 蓬勃 is like thriving. So you're full of the atmosphere of something young and something new, and you're thriving in that atmosphere. Then you're vigorous. 朝气蓬勃.
Okay.
有着
有着
is actually have.
right. So 有 is have, right? And then 有着是足
十足
的. So,
十足 is an interesting one.
yeah, this is like a full.
Full of, because we know 十 is 10. 足 is actually full. There is a Chinese expression 吃饱喝足. So 吃饱 we know is I've ate enough, I'm full. 喝 is drink, and 足 means full, enough, entire. So 足 carries that meaning, and 十 we know is 10. 十足 put together is like 10 out of 10.
Okay.
100%. 十足. So full of. Great expression, great translation. Full of. 十足的.
少年感.
Yeah, 少年感. The key word here, we know. 少年感, the feeling of youth.
Yes.
Very youthful.
Filled with youth.
Filled with youth. 少年感十足 or 十足的少年感. 100% of the feeling of youth.
Okay.
谢谢，我再接再厉.
So this is thank you. I'll keep it up, right? So 谢谢 is obviously thank you. And 我在 means I am or I'm doing this.
Actually, 我 is separated from 在 because 再接再厉 together is an
So we
idiom.
have that expression. So
Yeah.
我 is I and then 再接再厉. This expression means I'm going to keep it up, right?
I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to continue to be encouraged,
Continue to be amazing.
continue to be amazing, continue to be encouraged, to be motivated. And that is why 再接再厉 concentrates more on your continue to work really hard. Whereas in English, if you say keep up the good work, for example, you're not only encouraging this person to, continue to be amazing, you're also saying that what you did is already really good. In Chinese, it's kind of like 再接再厉, this word, at least 70 or even 80% of this word concentrates on continue to work hard. Whereas in English, I feel like keep up the good work, at least 50% of keep up the good work is saying you've done something already amazing.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Okay.
So if you want to encourage someone in a pretty strict, hard, previous generation kind of way, you can say to them,
Previous generation kind
you
of
can
way,
say to
okay.
them, 你做得很好, you did well. 要再接再厉, you should, continue to work hard.
Continue to work hard. Yeah, that sounds different than keep up the good work.
Exactly. That is why I know the translation here is keep up the good work.
That means you're good now because you're working hard, but the minute you decide to slack off, all of the praise I've given you is gone.
So a little bit more harsh, tiny little bit.
Yeah, don't get off the treadmill.
Yes, 再接再厉. All right, let's try the conversation, shall we?
All right.
唉，
你为什么叹气啊？
我刚才跑1000米用时5分钟，我太慢了。 上了年纪就是行动不便，感觉我已经老态龙钟。
胡说八道，你的速度已经很快了，而且你看起来无忧无虑，朝气蓬勃，有着十足的少年感。
谢谢，我再接再厉。You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niuniu and Tony. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's talk about what kind of qualities would make someone feel young at heart. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu with Tony here in the studio. So Tony, here's the million-dollar question.
Okay.
What kind of quality would make you feel someone is really young at heart?
Qualities for youth. I think people who are still kind of soft in that they're open-minded to try new things, because in general, when people get older, they've experienced a lot of things and they tend to analyze everything based off of their personal experience. And so they don't branch out, they don't do anything outside of what they think is right and wrong. But for me, somebody who's open to trying and going new places, for example, my grandfather, he's in his 80s and he's still willing to play basketball. He's still willing to watch certain films. He's still willing to dress a certain way and go certain places. Whereas most people his age would be like, oh, I don't have time for that, or oh, I'm too old, or I'm you know. And so he's constantly battling this notion of being old. When I ask him his age, he always lies and says he's like 20 or 30. And so it's cute. Like a way for him to kind of, repel this notion of getting old.
Yeah, I like that. In Chinese, we have this saying or this phrase, 勇于尝试新鲜事物. I know it's long. 勇于 is like brave enough to. 勇于, brave enough to.
勇于.
尝试.
尝试.
尝试 means try. 新鲜 is new and fresh. 新鲜.
新鲜.
新鲜. 事物 means stuff.
事物, yeah.
事物.
事物.
Yes, so 勇于尝试新鲜事物 is like
Isn't
brave
that
enough.
Food?
食物 is food. 事物 is
oh my goodness.
affair or matter.
Same.
I know. Or stuff. So 勇于尝试新鲜事物 is like willing to try new things. I totally agree. Willing to try new things actually shows that you're still holding your curiosity about or towards the world.
Or
curiosity.
Just
being open to the world.
New experiences.
So we say 好奇心 curiosity. 好奇心.
好
奇
心
心好奇心 Yes.
Or is that just being tolerant?
Being tolerant.
Because you're allowing the experience. Even though you may not enjoy it, you're just like, okay, well, let's give it a try.
Yeah, but I feel like if you are genuinely interested in the new things, would be even better. Like your granddad.
Well,
right?
I don't think that he does it out of curiosity. It's more just, okay, you're suggesting it. You want me to do it. So, yeah, I'll do it. I'll tolerate it because you want me to do it.
Oh, that's
But even
so
then,
nice.
it's like, oh,
Still,
that's cool.
Yeah, the willingness to do it
Right.
is quite impressive already. And another thing I feel like is very important when it comes to 少年感 is a little sense of respecting or believing that it's something that I don't know out there. It's something that can still happen out there.
Yeah.
And that can also show in the sense of a little bit shy. Because I feel like someone is at a certain age, they're fearless. I mean, fearless is really cool as well. You feel like there's nothing in the world that I can't handle. I like that as well. But it's also nice to see someone who's in their 40s and 50s and 60s, but they're still a little bit shy. And they still feel in a certain way that it's so much that they don't know out there, which is why they do not want to be cocky. They do not want to be, overly confident. They still hold this respect to the outside world, that they believe that I'm still learning because there are still many things that I don't know.
Right.
that is really attracting,
I almost feel like that could be a little bit culturally specific, because the shyness is normally an indicator for young people who are inexperienced and they don't know a lot of different things. And then as you get older, normally, especially in our culture, the shyness is just gone when it comes to older people. They tend to be very outspoken about certain things,
very confident about themselves,
right? Based off of their experiences. So but yeah, shyness
I know
in Western culture is not normally.
I understand that, but normally I would not appreciate shyness that much, especially from a young person. But for someone who's relatively older, for them to be, sometimes still be able to blush, to be a little bit shy. I don't know why, but that really makes me feel like, they're very attractive.
Interesting.
I know, it's like you said, a little bit culturally specific, but maybe it's because you don't see that shyness in people at certain age that often, which makes it a little bit precious.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that. I also think it has something to do with as earlier I mentioned my grandfather's example about accepting your age, because psychologically sometimes when we tell ourselves that we're getting old, we live down to this stereotype. For example, if I'm getting old, I shouldn't be going out dancing, I shouldn't be wearing these kinds of clothes, I shouldn't dress up in this kind of way. You kind of limit yourself in a lot of different areas.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to, but a lot of people do. Because it's like, in my age group, nobody does this, so I'm going to follow suit like everyone else. But for people who are bold enough, courageous enough to just say, you know what, I like this style and this is me and this is what I want to do, even though, people don't wear this in my age group or people don't go to these kinds of places, I'm going to do it. And that kind of keeps them in a gray area when it comes to their age, because it's like, this guy looks like he's older, but I can't really tell because he's here, he's doing this, he's doing that. So there's a lot of hip-hop artists who are probably in their 50s and 60s, but because of the way they dress and like what they do, they still have a young appeal, because also hip-hop is kind of considered something that's relatively young. So that's just an example, but you know what I mean.
I totally understand. And another one I think is 有梦想.
有梦想.
梦想.
Oh, 梦想.
Yes, 有 is have. 梦想 is dream. So still believes in one's dream. That is also something I think is really impressive. So for someone in their 20s, of course, you have your dream, you follow your dream, you want to, live your dream.
If you're lucky enough to have discovered your dream in your 20s, yes.
Yes. But for those who are in their 50s, they're still living their dreams.
Yes. I think like when you said someone who's older, who still has a dream and they're still working towards it, it's like, wow, they can connect with younger people because younger people are kind of in this same area.
Mindset. But I think the difference here is that when you are in your 20s and you have your dream and you follow your dream, it's like it's partly because you have this huge dream that you really want to follow, but another tiny little part is because you haven't seen the world yet. You don't understand. You don't know.
That's a big part of it.
Right? You don't know
part.
whether or not you can actually live up to your dream.
Exactly.
But when you're in your 50s and you're still following the dreams, for example, some artists or some scientists in their 50s, they might not have already create something or find something in their academic world, in their area, yet they're still following it because they believe in it. They've seen everything. They understand how the world works, but they don't care. They still need, or they are still very persistent in realizing their dreams, in working towards the golden star that they have set for themselves in their 20s, and that is admirable.
Yeah, again, people who have a dream, and that it's surprising how many people out there who actually don't really have a dream. So it's for those who do have a dream, yes, it's very remarkable.
Yeah, so it's another very important part. 有梦想, in my opinion.
有梦想.
Yes, having a dream would give you definitely this young at heart mindset. So what do you think can keep us from aging at heart?
Some of the reasons I mentioned earlier is just not accepting certain social norms for certain age brackets, being able to be courageous enough to go against that and be who you want to be and not conform so much in that endeavor, at least with dress, with hobbies, with how far you go in life, all of those things.
Yeah.
Just,
And even though we say it's not important to age at time, we still think it's important to take care of yourself in your youth, in your mid-age. If you take good care of yourself, you would definitely age well. You exercise, you would go do certain sports every day or at least 2 or 3 times a week. You take really good care of yourself.
Stay active as well.
Stay active, then you would age well, and in a sense, age slower.
Yeah, I agree. I'm one of these people who never plan to retire. I plan to work until I drop dead. So, yes.
Well, that is really cool too.
Yeah, I think
so. 希望我们可以永葆少年感. Hopefully, we can stay young at heart throughout our entire life.
That's the plan.
That brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Tony here in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column Podcast.
You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and much more. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. And don't forget to leave your comments, ratings, and questions.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
再见.